everyone, my name is Melissa Fry, author, editor, and lover of stories, also a grammar nerd, and it has been forever since I made a video. So I am going to come back strong with something that's been floating around in my head. I wanted to show you my top book, like my absolute favorite book from all of my auto-buy authors. Author number one is Dan Brown. Okay, so I love Dan Brown. It's not really a secret. I have read almost all of his books. Still got to get Origin done. That's his latest one. But I've read all of his other books, and I love his books. I will buy his books. If somebody gives me a Barnes & Noble gift card for Christmas, I hold it until he releases a book. Like, legit, I've done that. So I just wanted to share with you my favorite book of his, which might surprise you. Are you ready? Ta-da! Dan Brown's Digital Fortress. Yes, it's probably a little dated, but I love it. It came out in 1998, not when I read it, but I found it after I discovered Da Vinci Code, and I just loved it so much that I've read it twice at least. Which for me is rare because I don't typically reread books very often, but I have read this more than once. I love it. It's about a cryptographer and this secret code. I haven't read in forever, so I really don't remember all of the details, but I really wanted to be a cryptographer after I read this book. Realized that I'm just not as good with computers as you probably need to be to do that. So anyway, love this book. Favorite book from Dan Brown, Digital Fortress. Okay, my second author is Frank Peretti. If you have not heard of him, you are missing out because he is such a great author. He had a lot of books in the 80s and 90s and kind of slowed down in the 2000s, around the turn of the century, but I grew up reading his books. They were probably a little too advanced for me, and I was probably a little too young to read some of the subject content. It's probably a little too scary. But they're great. They are the reason I became a writer. He is really, without further ado, you may have already known this because I've raved about this book before, but my favorite book from Frank Peretti is The Oath. Yes, this is a hefty book. I actually had a copy like this and then I lost it, but I found this copy at a used bookstore, and so I knew I had to get it because this cover is goals. I am just saying, I love this cover. It is amazing. It's got the eyes and an old, whatever that is, altar, town, whatever. I love it. It's great. Everything in here, I mean, just you need to read the book because it's amazing. I have not read it in so many years. I need to put it back on my TBR pretty quickly and shove it to the top because I'm just a completely different person since the last time I read this. So it is about an old town that harbors a secret that is very dangerous and is they're suspected as killing people, and they're trying to get to the bottom of the secret. So it's a great book. Highly, highly, highly recommend this book. This is probably one of the top 5 books I recommend of all time. So read this book for sure. So this next author you will undoubtedly know and probably have read, and if you have not, why not? Because this is an amazing author. Okay, so my author number 3 is Stephen King. Yeah, you've probably figured that. I love Stephen King. I love his books. I love his writing advice. I love everything that man puts pen to paper and releases to the world. I love it. So I have not read all of his books. I say he's an auto-buy because if there's books that come out from him, I will buy them. I'm still working on getting the rest of his collection because that is a massive collection, but I do have several of his books and am continuing to add to it. So let's talk about my favorite book of Stephen King's, with the caveat that I haven't read all of them. This is the favorite one I've read. Ready? Bag of Bones by Stephen King. My favorite book of his. It's probably not one of the most well-known ones of his, but I love everything about this book. It's so great. It's got a little bit of supernatural in it. It's about a writer, so who doesn't love that? Who holds himself up in a cabin in Maine? I mean, that's the goal, right? It was actually made into like a maybe made for TV movie, but it was Pierce Brosnan and Melissa George, and I loved the movie, and I think I actually watched it first and then read the book, and it stood up. So that's very rare for me. I usually, if I watch the movie first, I will either avoid reading the book, or I will read the book and be disappointed because it doesn't match the movie. Now, that's the wrong way to do it, I realize, because the book came first. I get that. But in this case, I love both of them. I have rewatched the movie. I need to go back and reread this book. Such a great book. Highly recommend it. Please go check this one out. All right, so this is my author number 4. I am going to have a lot of people that do not agree with me on this, and some that do, and that's okay. I am good with my choice. So this author really inspired me to finish my book. I had started it, I only had a page, I didn't know where it was going, but when I read this series, I was actually able to finish my book in the next year, and I eventually did publish that last year. It took me a long time. So my 4th author is Stephenie Meyer. Yes, I know, don't at me, it's okay. I still love the Twilight series, it's fine. But I have read most of her books, and the one that I love the most out of all of her books is, ready, New Moon by Stephenie Meyer. Yes, I realize this may be an unpopular choice even among Twilight fans. However, I stand by my choice because this has a lot more depth of feeling than the other books, in my opinion. It has a lot of angst and tragedy that I embrace and enjoy, but still the happy ending that we need, or at least I need. So anyway, check out this book, check out the Twilight series, highly recommend it. I know it's been hated on, and if you haven't read it because it's been hated on, just give it a chance. Yes, it's sparkly vampires. However, you just really get embraced into the story. So again, highly recommend it. Highly recommend the movie. It's my favorite movie too, by the way, of the series. So check it out. Okay, before we move on, I need to shout out my fellow indie authors. There are so many independent authors out there without a contract, without an agent, releasing books like crazy, doing a phenomenal job, making sure it's professional and they kill the marketing and they're out there putting their work out there, releasing several in a year. It's amazing. I do have a couple of indie authors on my favorite author list, on my auto buy list. There's 2 in particular so far that I will buy any book that they have that come out. I'll help them promote it. I'll do everything I can, review it for them. By the way, you know, indie authors love reviews. These authors are incredible. So without further ado, I will talk about my 5th auto buy author, which is Taylor Danae Colbert. She is amazing. We were kind of book release buddies for my first book, and that was also her first book, but she has lapped me completely, and she's on like 3, I think, releasing 4 later this year. So but I read all of her books. They are so great and they're fun, and they're not always what you would expect, which I really love. But my favorite of her book, this is one of my favorite books of all time. It's just amazing and it warms my heart. Okay, I will stop raving because you need to know what the book is, right? All right, here it is. Off the Record by Taylor Danae Colbert. It is such an incredible book. I cannot even believe it. I love it so much. As you can see, the cover is incredible. That's always a good indicator of a good book, right? It is a rock star romance. Love it. I have just been, because of these 2 authors, I have been really into romance lately. So anyway, you've got The Kiss on the Guitar, which is hilarious. So you need to read it. I promise. You will not be disappointed if you like romance at all. But it's not your straight up romance. There are like big surprises, stuff I didn't even see coming, which I usually do. She still surprised me. Stuff you don't expect, just a tragedy, but it's still a happy ending. I mean, like, get this book. Come on, get it. All right, my 6th author is also another indie author that I auto buy, absolutely. She incredible. She releases so many good books. Every book, I'm just like, is she going to top this one? And she usually does. But when I really sat down and thought about it, one book by a hair, but one book really took the cake for me. And I think it's probably because it's a Friends to Lovers. And I love that. I recently realized that that's one of the things I really love. So I'm just like, oh, it's so sweet. I love it. So anyway, this is another romance author, indie author, auto-buy author. Are you ready? Number 6 is S.J. Silvis. She is amazing and I love her books. So I guess we'll just get to it. My favorite book from S.J. Silvis is Chasing Ivy. I mean, that's another great book cover, right? Okay, so Chasing Ivy, it's from the Oak Hill series. She also released another book in this series, Falling for Fallon, recently. Also an excellent book. But this one, just because of the Friends to Lovers, because of the history that they have, and it's just sweet and I love it. So you guys should check it out. Again, if you love romance, or even if you're just slightly interested, please check it out. It's such a great book. It is so adorable, and Dawson and Ivy are just couple goals. So anyway, check out Chasing Ivy, S.J. Silvis. Okay, so I was going to end with 6 because that's just who came to mind as my auto-buy authors, but I did want to give a shout out, kind of like a notable mention. There is a book that I love by an author that I typically don't, and this is kind of funny, but when you see the author, you will probably understand why. So this author, I've read several of his books. Most of them just make me mad. Or once I find out kind of where it's going, I give up because I'm a sucker for happy endings. That's my thing. And when I don't get that, I get angry. And usually his books, if you're familiar with him at all, you probably are, his books aren't always happy at the end. So I realize that's real life. I want to escape my books. I want to have a happy ending. So the book that I picked from him actually does have that. And so that's why I love it, because I do like his writing style. I do like the depth of emotion in his stories. However, I have to find the ones that actually do have a happy ending or I won't finish them. So anyway, author number 7, my notable mention is Nicholas Sparks. And again, if you have read any of his books or seen any of his movies, you will realize that most of his books don't have the happy ending. However, this one does. The book I like from Nicholas Sparks is Safe Haven. Yes, I have the movie cover. I realize that's probably like an author faux pas or something, like to get the movie cover of the book. I love the setting of this. It's like on a beach, in a beach town kind of thing, small town. I think a widower. Again, I haven't read this in a while. They took the movie off Netflix, so I was sad. But anyway, I definitely recommend you check it out. It does have a happy ending, so it's not going to make you mad when you read it, like a lot of his books can do for me. But anyway, check this book out. Highly recommend it. All right, I guess that's it. I'm going to tag some people down in the comments so that you can see what their favorite books are from their auto-buy authors, and we can just kind of spread this around because it's really fun. It's really fun to shout out our favorite authors. Also to kind of get to know people a little bit better in the books that they like. You probably have learned things about me you didn't particularly like. I know, Twilight, yes, I get it. So I'll wrap this up. I would love it if you would leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite books are, if you like the books that I listed, if there was one that you didn't like in particular. No hate comments, please. But if there was a reason or you have a different book from one of these authors that is your favorite, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Of course, give me the thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel. I would love that. I would really appreciate it. And I guess that's it. I will hopefully be posting on a more regular basis now. I've had some health challenges and some deadlines that I needed to cover and I needed to devote my time completely to. But I'm on the mend, getting better. The deadline's passed, so I'm back into YouTube. I'm back into getting these videos out. So hopefully you'll see more from me soon. Again, my name is Melissa Fry, author, editor, lover of stories, and yeah, you guessed it, a grammar nerd. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.